This is Lesson 5, Texture. And before we begin, we go over our big idea, our objective, and the standards that we're covering. We review the first 3 elements that we've talked about, which are lines. We go over the flashcards for shapes. And I use the color paddles, and we go over what we learned in our lesson on mixing colors. And we sing the primary color song. Then I have them feel their hair and describe the texture. We feel our skin, and we describe the texture. And we feel our clothes, we feel the rug we're sitting on, and we talk about texture and all the different words we can come up with. And then I show them how artists use texture in their work and tell them there are 2 different ways. One is actual texture, and here's a sculpture by James Hampton, and you can see he's used wood, he's used plastic, he's used some glass beads, he's used a lot of aluminum foil to make this work of art. If this is a sculpture, if we walk up to it, we could actually touch it and feel the texture. Then we have the illusion of texture, and here's our singer-dancer again, and we talk about, could we walk up and feel her hair on a painting? No, that's not actual texture. That's the illusion of texture created with lines, and we talk about the texture in the floor and in his pants, and I have them pick out texture. And then I show them this one by David Hockney, and we talk about how he created texture and how much more interesting the work looks when we've got texture. So I tell them we're going to look for textures around the room again, and we will go around the room, we'll find textures. Then I have them go back to their seats, give them paper, and tell them that we are going to use textures in something called crayon rubbing. First, we have to draw some fish. So I'm going to show them how to draw a really simple fish. I want a big one in the middle, make a big happy line, a little C for the mouth, a sad line and cross over, and a straight line for the tail. And then we come up here and we make another one. Happy line, little C for the mouth, sad line and cross over, straight line for the tail. And we go ahead and we make 5 fish in all. That'll give us 5 textures. And I do it with each one of them. And then, once we've drawn those together, I begin to show them textures. If it's a day that we can go outside, it's not too hot, it's not rainy, then we go outside and find textures on the kindergarten playground, and I show them how to do crayon rubbings. If we're indoors, then of course I have to use texture boards. I have a few textures. I have a piece of plastic placemat, and I show them that if you put texture underneath, you can just rub it, and the texture will show up. And then I go through, and these are texture boards, chipboard, put glue on it, let it dry, and it makes really nice texture. As you can see, this is wavy lines and polka dots. And then let's try a spiral, still in there working on the lines. So the spiral, maybe we'll do let's do a green one. And rub it. It's much better to go outside, but that's just not always possible. And let's see, let's try a yellow. And I teach them to clean the yellow crayon on the back before they start using it so they don't end up with all those colors that the yellow's bumped into. And this is a waffle pattern. And then we need one more. Let's try making a goldfish. And you can just do this. Oops, should have wiped this crayon too. And there are different textures, and I have them do each one in a different color. By the way, since we need to use crayons that don't have any paper, I carry a big bag of them that I can easily pour out of and dump back into and put the crayons on a plate. So once we get to this point, it's just a matter of they're putting the water in. And we get the water in. Once we get the water in, we're going to go ahead with our black crayon and outline the fish. And that, of course, is a vocabulary word when we're learning what we're talking about tracing. So we get our fish in, then we get our black crayon, and we trace the crayon on all our fish. And then each one, we put the eye in, and we remember what we learned with Leo. We want to leave a white spot and a fin. We leave that white spot so it creates a reflection in the eye that makes him look alive. And then we go around the others. And get this finished. There is one other thing that I do toward the end of the year, and that is I let them trace each other's shoes, and they have a really good time doing that, but it brings home the fact that there's texture everywhere. And let me get this done, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And we get our last eye done, and there's the sample. So we have our 5 fish. We've got 6 different textures and different colors. And if I want them to use their shoes, got a flip-flop to demonstrate with, what I do is this part of the shoe makes a good fish. So I have them simply take a crayon and do the top part of the shoe. And they do that 5 times. And they take turns with their friends. They sit on the rug. We have crayons and they rub. And once they've gotten all of these, then we draw the fish around it. And we've got our fish, and then we can just create some texture this way on the end and fill it in. And this way we can also make our fish. So then we review, what is texture? It's something that we feel when we touch it, and that's the texture lesson.